Hi class, welcome to Illustrator Lab 10. Today the file you're going to need is called texttool.ai. We're going to be talking all about type, how to format type, how to create different kinds of text boxes, how to edit character, paragraph, also how to type on a path, and how to create outlines. When you're ready, go ahead and launch the file. We'll get started. All right, this is a three-part lecture. We're going to start here on part number 1, formatting text. All right. The hotkey you're going to learn today is T, T for text. Use hotkey T to highlight this text. Your control bar displays the font, the style, the size, and the paragraph alignment. So if you go ahead and hit T, you'll get your little text cursor and you can highlight the text. All right. Now your control bar up here displays your character font, its style, size, paragraph alignment. A couple other little extras here as well. All right, place all this text as your full name and student ID. All you gotta do is type, and I've got a couple different student IDs, so I'll just leave that off. All right, step B, use hotkey T to highlight this text. Change the font to 40 point, italic, Times New Roman. You will have to extend the size of the bounding box downward using your selection tool to fit the newly formatted text. All right, so let's go ahead and start here. We'll go from Courier to Times New Roman, italic, and 40 points. All right, now this is what that second sentence talked about. The size of box to house this text is no longer large enough to house it all at size 40. That's why we get this fun little red indicating downward facing arrow. It means that there's more text below the bounding box. All right, now all we had to do is go ahead and get our selection tool to increase the size. All right, open your type window. Window, type, and then it says in parentheses character, so we'll get character. It'll come with a few neighbors. Highlight this text and change the font size to 20 points, the leading to 40 points, change the tracking to -50, then change the text to all caps and strike through. So here's some extra features of your type tool. So we can change, along with up in our control bar, we can change our type here. So let's see, 20 point. The leading is the amount of space between lines of text. So we change that to 40 point. So it's going to get even larger between the lines of text. The tracking is the amount of space between each individual letter. So we can go either higher, which gives lots of space between every letter, or lower, which squeezes them together. We're going to -50. And then here along the bottom we have all caps and strike through. Now if you don't see these, it's because your options are hidden right here. You can go ahead and reveal those by clicking this set of 3 lines and show the option. All right, all caps, strike through. There's other stuff in here. I just wanted you to be able to find it. All right, step D, open your type window paragraph. All right, that was next to character. Select this text box using hotkey V. All right. So this is another way to select text that isn't highlighting it. We can just select the entire text box. All right, now we're going to add bullets. Then we're going to switch to a numbered list. Then we're going to change the alignment from align left, which is here, to align center. Okay, now align right. Now you notice that I did that to the bounding box, the edge of the bounding box or the center of the bounding box. So if our bounding box was shorter, it would align to the far left or far right of whatever size it was. All right, step E. Select this text box with hotkey V and click on the small red icon at the bottom right. So this is telling us that there's more text than fits in our text box. So if we click on that little red box, we're going to get a little indicator that the next place we click and drag, I think we don't even have to switch to hotkey T, but the next place you click and drag, this was the text that was cut off by the size of the first bounding box. All overflow text can be connected to new boxes if a space is restricted. All right, so now these are connected. You'll notice they will always have this indication that whatever doesn't fit in this box will overflow into the new one. All right. Part 2, let's talk about creating text. This is the very first time that we created a new box, a new space for one. We're going to keep doing that. So we're going to use the text tool T to click and drag a new box below. It will automatically fill with editable placeholder text. All right, it's remembering some of our past settings. All right, so that was clicking and dragging. Next, we'll use the rectangle tool, M. Oops, except for that if I use a hotkey while this is highlighted, it will replace that. All right, we'll make sure that is deselected, then hit hotkey M to create a box. This is just a regular square. This isn't a text box yet until we use our hotkey T to click along the path of the rectangle, and it will automatically fill with editable placeholder text. So we could edit all of this. We could go back and get rid of our strike through and our all caps. We could change it to courier and regular. Now it's saying all my text doesn't fit because it was smashed in there. Let's give it like a 20-point leading. There we go. There's all the text. All right. So that was how to build a text box using the text tool. How to build a text box using the rectangle tool. We can also make any shape into a text box. So this time we're going to use the ellipse tool, L, to create a circle. We'll switch to our text tool, T, and click along the circle's path. It will automatically fill with editable placeholder text. All right, so now our text has to fit inside the path of the circle. Our next step is to select the whole object. So go ahead and select it with hotkey V. And eyedrop with hotkey I the formatting from this text box into the circle. So I'm going to hit I for eyedrop and then just click on this text right here. So you can eyedrop fonts and formatting from other text boxes. Next, we're going to use the rotate tool, hotkey R, to rotate the entire object upside down. All right, so you can rotate a shape that carries text, and it will rotate the text as well. All right, next, use the ellipse tool to create the first circle below. L for ellipse, Shift and Option to create a perfect circle from the center out. We're going to switch to the Type on a Path tool on our toolbar. So here where we have our Type tool, we're going to switch to Type on a Path. Then we're going to click along the circle's path. It will place editable text along the path instead of inside it. All right, so this is typing on a path. All right, our text right now occurs on the outside of the path. I'll zoom in here so you can see that. So our path is on the bottom. It becomes the line for the baseline for the text. All right. If you would like to change that, let's go ahead and duplicate this. We have to go to another menu. All right. This one is the Type menu and Type on a Path option. So we'll come over here to Type on a Path, and Type on a Path options. We're going to flip the text. And we'll preview that. So now it is on the inside of our text box. You can also align the path to the center, descender, or ascender of text. All right, you can go ahead and keep that as its baseline. All right, so that is how to type along a path. You can now highlight this and edit it, type in anything that you like. This doesn't have to be a circle. It doesn't have to even be a closed path, as we're about to show you. All right, so in step E, we're going to create a 4-car trolley to go along this roller coaster. So we're going to highlight and copy the text to the right. Highlight, Command C. If you're on a PC, that's Control C. Then use Type on a Path to paste the text onto the path above. Type on a path, I'm going to come over here and Control or Command V. All right, then we're going to use the selection tool V to move the cars to the end of the path. So when we first clicked on it over here, this is where it began our text, and it's formatted to match this one, which had a left side alignment. We can change that by grabbing this vertical bar at the beginning of our text and pushing that bar all the way around to the end of the roller coaster track. All right, so that's how you determine where your text starts on a path, is that vertical bar with hotkey V. All right, we are on to part 3. This is going to go fast. This part is designed to kind of tell you what your limitations are with editable text. So Illustrator has to keep a lot of memory open when text is editable because it could change. All right, so select this text box and eyedrop pink into the fill from the bar above. I'm talking about this bar. So we hit I, pink. Awesome. B, select this text box and eyedrop pink into the stroke from bar above. So we can do this one of 2 ways. We can go ahead and hit X so that our stroke is forward on our toolbar. Hit I for eyedropper and then hold down Shift while we eyedrop so it only eyedrops into our stroke, not our fill. Or we could, I'll back up, you can do it one of 2 ways. This one allows us to keep a black fill and then a pink stroke. Or we could just eyedrop pink and then hit Shift X to change our fill to our stroke. Then we would have text that has a stroke, pink stroke, and no fill. So it can have any combination thereof. All right, step C, highlight and replace the fill color of each name to its color. So previously we've selected the entire text and changed the color of the entire text. All this text exists in the same text box, but it can be formatted and colored differently. We'll change red to red, blue to blue, and green to green. All right, we now have 4 fill colors for our text, which means when we actually highlight the text, it'll give us a question mark because there's too many. All right, step D is to warp this text with a 50% arc. So we learned how to warp shapes. We can also warp text. Let's go to Effect, Warp, and Arc. Make sure it's at 50%. You can still highlight this text and type in new words. So this is still editable text. All right, next. We're going to give this text a cyan, normal, 100%, 5-point outer glow effect. That was a lot. Let's just do it one step at a time. So we're going to go to our effects. We'll go to stylize and outer glow. So this is going to be a normal blending mode, a cyan color, a 100%, 5-point blur. Okay, so text can have effects, drop shadows, outer glows, etc. In step F, we're going to talk about when you no longer need to edit text because you need to have a gradient. Editable text like this, if I can highlight and type in something new that's editable, editable text cannot have a gradient. So if you need text to have a gradient, we have to outline it. You're going to go ahead and select the text, right-click, create outlines. And then it will be transformed into objects with paths and handlebars. Next, we're going to fill it with a gradient. Now, each letter is going to fill with its own gradient. It's going to go from white to black. Every new letter. I want all of them to share the same gradient at the same time. So I'm going to hit G for gradient and drag from the left side to the right side of my entire group at once. All right, that's how to get text with gradient in it. You can't edit the text anymore, but it still is readable. All right, in step G, we've talked about a couple different shapes that you can put text in, circles or rectangles. Any shape that you draw, you can put text in, which means that sometimes you might need to custom wrap your text around another shape. So if you're starting with a box, we can subtract anchor points. So use the minus key. Oops, Rather, select it. Use the minus key to subtract an anchor point from this box. You need to be able to create custom text box shapes. All right, if I want to use Shift-C to grab this piece of path and give it a curvature, I could also do that. So in this way I could curve around or between other objects. All right, step H, create outlines of this text and delete all of the vowels. All right, so select it first with your selection tool, right click, and create outlines. All right, now when you do create outlines of text, it will automatically group everything together. Everything that was in that text box is now a group. So in order to delete individual vowels, we either have to use our group selection tool, Shift A, which we programmed, and delete them by double clicking them if they're a compound shape, or just clicking them once if they're not compound. Or we can ungroup the entire body of text and then select our vowels one by one and delete them. I don't think I missed any. All right, step I, we're going to select this text box and resize it with the scale tool, S. So if we were to try to resize this right now, we'd just be resizing the bounding box, but not the text itself. The text formatting would stay intact, which is how we could accidentally run it out of room. So if we would like to change the size of the text box and the text inside of it, we have to use the scale tool, S. I'm going to hold down Shift and drag up and to the left at kind of a 45-degree angle, and it will scale both simultaneously. Notice that our character window and our control bar reflect the new font size. All right, step J, select this text box and flip it horizontally with the mirror tool, hotkey O. And hold down Shift too. Shift will make sure I don't do it in a funny angle. All right, this text is still editable. It is just mirrored. All right, the very last step is to type your first name on the line to the right any way you want. I want you to do something fun with mirroring, scaling, with a warp or an effect, fill and stroke. Go ahead and just show me that you have captured some of these ideas about how you can create text. And I look forward to seeing you again.